So you want to buy a Sonex or a YX. I like Sonex attitude when it comes to naming their airplanes. What are we going to call this plane? Sonex. This one's got a Y-tail. YX. This one's got one seat. 1X. Okay, let's get some lunch. So today we're talking Sonex or YX. As far as cost to performance go, they're identical. The YX has a Y-tail, but you'd be forgiven for thinking it was a V-tail. The little stump at the back of the fuselage is actually a rudder, so the tail is a full Y, not just the V. Both Sonex and YX come with a tail wheel or tricycle gear. Sonex airplanes have two priorities: affordability and performance, in that order. Pretty much everything else is a distant third. These are very small airplanes with a wingspan of just 22 feet. That's 11 feet shorter than the diminutive Cessna 150. Creature comforts are scarce, and the cockpit is on the noisy side. However, if you begrudge Sonex because of its lack of luxury, you're missing the point. Sonex markets itself as the best performance per dollar in aviation, and you have to agree. These performance numbers speak for themselves. It's also aerobatic and capable of +6 and -3 Gs. Consider this: you could buy a Sonex kit, engine, propeller, and panel, all for the price of a Lycoming IO360, an engine you'd find in a whole smorgasbord of other planes, plenty of which happen to have worse performance than the little old Sonex. The performance numbers here are for the 80 horsepower Aero V engine. Sonex makes these engines and sells them as a kit, so you're actually not only building just the plane, you're building the engine too, which is a very unique cost-saving option. There is an option for a 120 horsepower Jabiru engine, which boosts cruise and climb speed quite a bit, but we're going to talk about the Aero V engine today. Sonex are one of the many kit planes that are cheaper to buy than to build. Once a kit plane has been around for a while, two things happen. First, more and more become completed and available on the second-hand market. Increased supply, of course, reduces price. And number two, the cost to build slowly increases over time. But anyway, these are low prices as far as airplanes go. Individual expenses look like this. Of all the costs here, insurance is the most normal. It's an experimental plane with a $30,000 to $50,000 hull value. Hangar is a cost saver. 22-foot wingspan can fit easily into a shared hangar. Also, the wings contain no fuel and can be removed in about half an hour if you have a helper. Condition inspections on experimentals are pretty inexpensive generally speaking, and the Sonex of course are no exception. The Aero V engine can burn 91 octane car gas. Although at just 4 gallons an hour, the difference between high test auto gas and av gas is just $1 or so you're more likely to go with whatever fuel is more convenient to get. The Aero V itself is an experimental engine and doesn't have a TBO. The manufacturer says they'll last between 700 and 1200 hours if they're treated well, so we'll plan to see an overhaul at 950 hours. The overhaul itself is amazingly cheap and can cost as little as $500. Worst case scenario, according to manufacturer, is only $2,000. So the reserve cost on this airplane is a hilarious range of between 40 cents and $2.80. We'll just call it $1. Adding it all together reveals that the Sonex really is an exceptionally affordable aircraft to own. It doesn't take much time and research into general aviation to realize that this is one very expensive hobby. But aviation is broad, and there's more than one way to get off the ground, some of which cost much less than others. That's it for the Sonex. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next.